So to make the giant cupcake, you're gonna need a base. Now I got these at Dollar Tree. You can also find them at Michael's, but you can see they have a natural cupcake shape, but they are also green and they're very, very rough textured. So I take some Fast and Final and it's the lightweight spackle, and I just spread it around to make the surface smooth. You could also cover it with clay. It's up to you. I just find this a little bit easier and cheaper. So I let it dry for a full day, and then when you come back, you want to go ahead and sand it down so it's smooth. Now, after you've gotten it much more smooth, what you're going to do is cover it with a mixture of chalk paint and Mod Podge. You do not have to worry about that center. Next, to stabilize the fake frosting that I'm going to do, you want to add this little swirl in the middle and let that dry. So next, I'm going to go ahead and give it another coat of Mod Podge. So while that's still wet, you want to go ahead and glitter it. You can use any kind of opalescent glitter. Now, after you've done the chunky glitter, I want to go through with some fine glitter. This is from Michael's. It's called Glitz, and I'm just going to fill in the empty spaces with that. Now, after that's dry, you're going to take some Fast and Final lightweight spackling, and you're going to put a little bit of acrylic paint in there. You don't want to do too much. And then you're going to stir it up, and it will look just like fake frosting. After you get it all stirred up, you're going to put it into a frosting bag. I'm using a 1M tip. And then you're just going to go around the edge. I add an extra ruffle. See the movement that I'm doing? And you want to go all the way out to the edge of the cupcake. Next, I'm using a damp paintbrush that is clean, and I'm just touching up any flaws that I see in that icing, like any edges that need to be smoothed, any little divots and bumps. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some fine glitter to that. I am going to let this dry overnight because you're going to be adding so many layers. If you don't wait for it to dry, it may collapse. It's just going to be, even though it's lightweight, it's going to be too heavy when it's wet. So when that's dry, I'm just going to go ahead and add a new layer. I've just used some yellow acrylic and mixed it, and I'm using a 1M tip again. Another plus to waiting for it to be dry is if you mess up the next colored layer, you can just scrape it off. If you had to scrape off both layers when they were wet, you're going to ruin your fake frosting. And then I just go through again with the damp paintbrush and I fix any flaws again. And then I'm just going to go ahead and add my fine glitter again. So now it's dry, I'm going to go ahead and add my blue layer. And I've just added some blue acrylic paint to some white spackling again, and I'm still using that 1M tip. And again, you're just going to take that wet paintbrush again and fix any flaws. And then go ahead and glitter it while it's still wet. And you gotta let it dry again. Now it's the final layer of color. I've just added some purple paint to the white spackle, and it's still the 1M tip. And then I'm just gonna go around with that and make the swirls. And this one gets an extra top swirl, just like an ice cream cone. Go ahead and repeat the step with the damp paintbrush. And then while it's wet, you're going to add your cherry, and I will show you how to make these pink glitter cherries coming up. And again, you want to add your fine glitter to your purple. This is how to make the pink glitter cherry. You just take some white chalk paint and you're going to paint over the fake cherry, and this is what I'm using. And then I'm just taking some pink acrylic paint and some Mod Podge here, and I'm just going to add it to those cherries once the chalk is completely dry. Next, when the paint dries, I'm just going to coat it with some Mod Podge, and then I'm going to go ahead and add some chunky glitter to these because I like that better. You could also add fine glitter if that's your preference. And I got this chunky glitter. It's my favorite. It's from Hobby Lobby. So you can see how that looks there. And just tap that glitter down because sometimes the chunks stand up and you do want them to lie down. And then you're going to want to go ahead and coat this with another coat of Mod Podge once it's completely dry. So originally I was thinking of leaving the stem green, but I decided I wanted an all pink cherry, so I'm going to show you how to do that now. You just take some chalk paint and you're going to paint that stem. And then you're going to go ahead and paint over that with the Mod Podge and light pink mixture that you made earlier for the bottom of the cherry. And once the stem is dry, you want to go ahead and go over it with some Mod Podge again to seal that in. So now I'm going to go ahead and make the puffy paint for the fake drip sauce. So I'm just mixing in some lightweight spackle, and this is white acrylic paint. I'm just doing this because I want a particular shade of pink, and I get that from a much darker pink mixing it with white. This is Rosemary from Michaels. It's my most favorite. But you could add any color of pink that you like to it, or any other color of paint for that matter. And then you're going to go ahead and add some Mod Podge to this mixture. And what you're looking for is the consistency of yogurt. So I'll show you that when I start stirring. And you can see that consistency is a lot like yogurt. Or you could just use puffy paint like this. But those tend to get clogged and it's kind of frustrating. And then you're going to go ahead and put that puffy paint into a frosting bag and just cut the tip open to whatever thickness you want. Here's a really thin line of it. Looks just like puffy paint. And here I am cutting a much bigger hole at the end so that I can get a thicker line, and I'll show you that. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add on the puffy paint drips. And so I just fill in any empty spaces, and then I just do random drips down the side. And you can control how thick your puffy paint is by cutting that hole bigger. Right now I have a really skinny small hole. So now I'm just going back through and I'm filling in, see like there's that little hole there, I'm just filling that in and filling any gaps or empty spaces that I see just to make sure it's a completely uniform look on this strip. So once you're satisfied with the drip, what you want to do is go around with some fine glitter. Make sure you're hitting the tops, bottoms, and sides of all the drips. Next, I'm going to paint a dowel. Now, you don't have to do this, but I'm going to make this into a tree pick to put in a Christmas tree. You could just display it as it is, but I'm just painting a dowel, and you'll see I'm only painting the bottom because it's going to be covered up by a straw, which I will show you. It's a paper straw, and I believe that this dowel is 3/16 of an inch. So I'm just taking a hot knife here and I'm just poking through the styrofoam very carefully. You don't want to go up too high. And I'm widening the hole so that that dowel can fit. Now you want to be careful not to make the hole too big because you do want your dowel to fit in there snugly. You could just paint the entire dowel white if you prefer, but I want to put this straw over it just as an extra detail. So there's your tree pick. Or you could just display it as is. You can see it's very big. Thank you for watching the tutorial. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you here again soon for another tutorial. Thank you so much for watching.